Hello, Cornerstone family and friends. I was asked to share a devotion with you, and one of my favorite stories is from Matthew 14:22 through 32. It teaches me to stay focused on Jesus. Jesus had just fed the 5,000. He went up to the mountain to pray while his disciples got back in the boat and headed back to Bethsaida. During the night, a strong wind rose while the disciples were far from land and in the middle of the lake. They struggled desperately to row against the heavy waves and the wind. About 3 a.m., Jesus noticed that they were in trouble. From the shore, he could have calmed that storm. He could have calmed the waves, but he chose to instead go out and walk on the water to them. When the disciples saw him, they were screamed in terror. They thought it was a ghost. They were sure it was a ghost. But Jesus spoke to them and said, "It's all right. It's just me. I'm here. Don't be afraid." Peter immediately called out to him, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you by walking on water." "All right, come," Jesus said. Without a moment's hesitation, Peter jumped out of the boat and started walking on the water. Imagine Peter's joy. He's walking on the water's surface in the middle of the lake, and he's not sinking. He was so faith-filled and connected to his Lord that he even defied and had the power over the natural realm. But his joy quickly left him as he started noticing the high waves crashing in around him. Suddenly he was terrified and began to sink. "Save me, Lord," he shouted. Instantly Jesus reached out his hand and grabbed him. Peter sank because he had taken his eyes off of Jesus, and the focus of the high waves crashing around him became his focus. The same thing can happen to us. If we take our eyes off of the Lord's power and focus on our own storms and inadequacies, then we pull ourselves out of his presence and we become, the storm becomes more than without him. When left to our own strength, we can quickly sink into a lake of hopelessness and fear. Peter was afraid, but he had enough sense to cry out to Jesus for his only source of help. So Jesus grabbed him, put him back in the boat, and immediately calmed the storm. Peter was safe again, filled with the Lord's peace and the joy of being in his presence. Looking back on my life, I can see this same scenario play out for me. When things were stormy in life, I now realize that it was because my time in God's Word was sporadic and I was not completely focused on Him. But when I put my trust and my focus on my Lord and His Word, the storm raging around me did not seem so big or bring me down. And I have two questions to pose to you today. During this difficult time that we as a nation and the world are dealing with because of the coronavirus, where is your focus? Is it on Jesus or is it on the storm? And the second one I'd like to ask you is, do you know the one who calms the storms in life, who never leaves us or forsakes us, who is the rock on which we can stand, gives us peace that passes all understanding, who is so faithful and always there for us? I hope you know my Jesus, who does all of this and more. I wish you all well, be safe, sending you all a song and a hug. So long, farewell, until we're back together.